Hey everybody, welcome to Restless Barbarian Gaming. This is our new series tonight. We're playing Symbaroum. It's our session 0 for this new series called Light and Shadows. It's going to be run by Aloysius. So gonna let him kind of take over and do lots of talking because I get to play for a change. So,
You do? I wonder what that's like.
I know, it'll be fun.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aloysius. This is my first time running a game on the channel, though you may or may not have seen me on some other games that we've played, like Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Prowlers and Paragons, stuff like that. But, so this is going to be a pretty casual thing for this time around, just introducing the players and their characters, going over the general premise of the campaign and all that jazz. And Jeffrey, if you'd like to introduce yourself and who you're going to be playing.
Absolutely. Super stoked about this. I'm playing a changeling by the name of Criven Delanru. Of the warrior type, I leaned into the duelist archetype. Criven is younger. They're 19 years old and only recently developed their changeling qualities, which led to them kind of becoming a bit of an outcast. So a lot of what I'm looking forward to is kind of exploring what that entails.
All right, Q.
Hey everybody, I'm Q. I'll be playing Ponder. He is an ogre who is a scholar. So I'm trying to play a little bit against type. He's been wandering the borders of what's the name of the forest?
Davokar.
Davokar, yeah. The borders of the forest of Davokar, visiting a lot of the barbarian settlements, and in recently in the last several years has been in the living in and among the folks. I forgot the city as well. The Umbrians, the Umbrians. Yeah. So he's very focused on, like, he's become enamored with civilization basically, and it's kind of like drinking the Kool-Aid. Getting into this whole colonialism thing and overlooking the bad stuff and focusing on the good stuff. And his main goal is he wants to one day found a school that is specifically for studying the deep dark Davokar. So he's on this mission to earn money and do some studying at the same time.
I just love the idea of this ogre being like, colonialism. I think I can get on board with it, guys. Is it really that bad?
Look at all the good stuff.
It's like
ignore that barbarian tribe that got slaughtered all those years ago.
Right?
It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Barbarians. I mean, they kill each other all the time.
Exactly. They're doing it to themselves.
Let's not bicker and argue about who killed who.
Progress is progress, eh?
Exactly.
You can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs.
Exactly. You see, we're all on the same page.
All
right. And lastly, Bolthra, our forever GM.
Hey, Bolthra, I am playing Willow Grimsbane. She is a human witch of the Bayaga clan. They tend to be nomadic, which kind of fits in with her personality. She is a healer by birth, kind of trained in the arts of witchcraft, healing, and alchemy. I'm actually going against type as well. I have never played a healer before, so this will be my very first time healing. You guys might be screwed.
All right.
I tend to jump in first with warrior type, and when I heard barbarian, I was all excited, and I thought, no, go healer. try something new. So
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you probably wouldn't guess it by the characters I've played on this channel, but I'm usually like a ranged magic user kind of character,
yeah.
a very like mystical and all that jazz. But I feel like for like every character I've played on this channel, I'm like, I want to fight with my fists.
Yeah, total melee fighter. He's just digging in. She is 19. She's kind of on the short side. Has kind of long black hair that's braided with little bits of animal bone that kind of hangs down to her waist. But she tends to wear a large hooded cloak to kind of hide all the various blades and potion components that she has on her. She's probably a little more outgoing than maybe some of her tribe. It's just been her nature. She's been extroverted. She has been working kind of as a pathfinder, kind of hiring herself out in a way to parties who are exploring the forest. She's made a lot of journeys through there, and knows a lot of the plants and the things that are safe for consumption, and is really just looking to just kind of expand her knowledge of the world. So in a weird way, she's kind of a mercenary healer. So, but that is Willow.
Dig it, I dig it.
I mean, if you're gonna, be doing a job, you might as well get paid for it, right?
Yeah, that's basically. I think I might actually add that to our character sheet: mercenary healer.
Mercenary healer.
Yeah.
Heal for hire.
Help me, please, healing.
It's like, all right. It's like, all right, there you
What's
go.
it
That'll be
worth to
20
you,
bucks.
honey?
Yeah. Can you pay?
And if not, you owe me a favor, and you may not
Exactly.
like when I come to collect.
I've been thinking about starting this new system. I think I'll call it healthcare.
Yeah.
I have a monopoly
thought about
on it. Now that I think about it, I don't think anyone else is doing this right now.
Do you offer yearly memberships for your
Several
healthcare
different
club?
types, and they're complete. I don't even understand how they work.
But the general premise for the campaign is that our campaign is going to start in the town of Thistlehold, which borders the forest of Davokar. It's where pretty much like anybody who's like a fortune seeker, they start there and then work their way into the forest. It's one of the few places where pretty much anybody from any background convenes, and there's tentative relative peace, because prejudice still gonna prejudice, no matter where you are. But we'll be starting in we'll be starting in Thistlehold, and after the group is formed, whether you want to have that done prior to it happening or whether you want sort of a more just organic meeting in the first session, either way, totally fine with whatever. They're going to be tasked by an influential person from Thistlehold to journey into the forests of Davokar to find a rare medicinal herb called Twilight Thistle that apparently is able to cure pretty much anything. And so it's highly coveted, but basically nobody knows where to actually find the thing.
Okay.
Except for one of the few people who sort of helped found Thistlehold. Hence one of the reasons why it's called Thistlehold, based off of the medicinal herb that was found 20 plus years ago. That's more or less how it's gonna shake down, and then obviously each character has their own agendas and things that they things that they want to do, and so all those things will sort of unravel as the game progresses, and people may change feelings, people will not change feelings. Ideals may conflict with each other, which I certainly encourage because that's just entertaining.
You just want PvP the first episode, right?
Oh, shut up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mine
no.
is only ogre, just nerd. He may just like come up with a book or something and just smash somebody.
Yeah,
I threw the book at him.
exactly.
It's
No.
above his
I
head.
will not be throwing books at people or hitting people with books. They're too precious.
I think
That's what the axe is for.
I think knowing each other always helps make it a little easier to start off with.
Mhm.
We're all from the forest. Is that my understanding?
Oh,
Well,
sort of,
well,
kind of.
I would say Criven technically has origins in the forest, but they weren't like born and raised there or anything.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Right. Because
Yeah.
you were raised in a city somewhere with human parents.
Yeah.
Right.
I was in one of the bigger cities. You're
Interos.
Interos.
I would say that's the capital of the Ambrian Ambrians.
Yeah. Cravens actually was training to be a Templar of Pelos. So was like on the path to knighthood. And that's when, oh no, changeling. That don't fly here. So like kind of fled the Thistlehold and then eventually found their way to the
Right.
Godinia.
Were they trying to kill you or just like sweep you under the rug?
Gee, that sounds like a world lore question that would be great for Alexius to answer. I don't know how severe that would have been, but I imagine my path to, at the very least, the path to knighthood and becoming a Templar would have been cold stopped.
I'm more than likely, I would say yes, because obviously, like each individual has their own thing, but Ambrians, as like a general rule, tend to not look the most favorably among the elder folk, as basically like all of the peoples of the forest are called other than the barbarians. And especially since Criven would have been one of the first changelings among Ambrian society, I would say more than likely, especially like they'd be like, what the fuck? Absolutely not.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, let's go with that because I'm fairly adept at shape shifting. So I'll say that could have been out of sheer necessity, like adapt or die sort of circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I could see that while they're chasing you down, you're changing into different people and hiding, and it'd be perfect origin little story right there. You see that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I like where Ponder is like, ooh, capitalism, that's the next big thing, or colonialism, that's the next big thing, and Ponder's just like, I've been there, man, and it ain't all that.
Right. Well, apparently the ogres in this setting sort of wander out of Davokar and with like no memory, and then they get adopted by people who that like sort of like help get them into society. So there's something going on with the ogres in this game that
bunch of weird stuff.
We don't know what's going on. So he was adopted by people who live outside of Karos Finn, which is like way on the, what is that, southeast edge of the forest. So it's, I guess, technically an Umbrian settlement, but it's within the forest. So that's, and they were just farmers. So, but they encouraged him to chase his intellectualism, and he went wandering from there and has been doing that for, I don't know, a couple decades now. He's 42 as far as he knows. ogres live a very long time. So since you can't remember where it came from,
Yeah,
I mean,
I would say that was like one of my favorite things of like when I like first opened up this book was
yeah,
finding out like what the core races of this game were, because they're like, nope, let's go super unconventional.
yep,
Humans, changelings, goblins, and ogres. Those are your core races.
Those are your
for
cores.
this
Those are the
game.
ones everyone's going to want to play anyway. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And then
I think
they introduce other ones in like
Yeah.
the player's guide and stuff, but they're like, no, these are
Yeah.
the core ones. We're
the
we're
core.
starting weird and establishing that this is different, and I like that a lot.
can you play elves, or are they strictly?
You can play elves. They introduce those
Okay.
in the player's
Okay,
guide.
all right, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, by and large, you know, well, the elves have a better relationship with the barbarians, but the barbarians are still like distrustful of them because they're
Yeah.
like, whatever they're up to, we don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
They're up to
Yeah.
some weird bad stuff. And then by and large, the elves and the Ambrians just like hate each other.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I know there's mention of dwarves.
There are dwarves as well.
Okay.
Yes, there's also
Okay.
trolls.
Okay.
And there's also kind of the inverse the inverse of changelings, whereas changelings are kind of like elves raised by humans, because how they are is elves abduct human children and then replace them with changeling babies, and so they introduced in the player's guide being like, hey, maybe you're one of those abducted kids, and so you're playing as this person who was raised by elves.
yeah, they don't eat all of them.
Kids.
Yeah.
Have you seen me? It's horrible, but
I think they introduced one other race in the player's guide, but I'm blanking on what that is
okay,
offhand.
that's fine.
Yeah, I haven't picked that up
I'll
yet.
check it out at some point. Maybe as a backup character.
I've been good. I've been staying out of the GM section of the book. You know, not looking at
Very good,
monsters or
very
any of that
good.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think I got up to the Promised Land section, and that sounded like GM only, and I quit.
Yeah,
reading, so.
because there's some freaky, nasty, weird stuff, and you know,
That's what it sounded like.
Oh,
It's just
good.
what I had seen.
yeah,
I'm-
like some of the stuff in there, I'm like, wow, this is nightmarish, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, these aren't your friendly token elves. These are
No,
Yeah.
elves in this are like messed up, because also they like describe them as like not even like technically being like a race of people, but they like don't elaborate on it very much. So it's like, what does that mean? Like, what are you talking about? So they're
so
just like
many places in here. You'd be reading something, you're like, I need more details.
So they do go into like a bit more detail, but but by and large, for like people outside of the forest, and like even to an extent the barbarians in the forest, elves are just this like boogeyman enigma that just lives in the darkest parts of the woods, and I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, because it gives you tons of room to work, you know,
Yeah.
versus, you know, oh, well, they're blah, 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 blah. They give you every explanation for it. It's kind of like,
Because you know, in like every fantasy setting under the sun, it's like elves are these beautiful ethereal
noble
creatures.
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
And then it's like the setting's like, no, they are horrifying.
I like it.
They're much closer to how they're portrayed in Slavic mythology. Where
Yep.
they're like mysterious, kind of really borderline dangerous, don't mess with these guys sort of creatures. Yeah, it's worth noting too that from what because of course I can't help myself, I got to dive into a whole world of lore.
I understand that. I love it.
Yeah. But from what I could find, like this translation is like people are a little unsure if like it was due to like translating it or whatever, but there is a lot of vagueness. And yeah, I also think that that's kind of really cool too. I don't know if that was as an effect of like the translation where something kind of gets lost in the translation, but it kind of fits the setting really well.
Yeah. Also, I just love how magic works in this. It's so messed up and cool.
Goes bad, corruption.
Yep.
Yeah, it's yeah. I was watching a actual play of this and just watching somebody just get tons of corruption, and she started having horns come out of her head, and and all this kind of stuff, and of course people are looking at her like she's a witch, we must burn her, and I'm like, oh great.
And that's my class. That's what I'm playing.
Yeah, I would say I also loved looking at Ponder and Criven's character sheets and the description of your guys' shadows and how intricate and detailed you went with it. And then Tom was like green.
I didn't know. that shows how little I knew. I was just like, I don't know, green.
What do you mean describe my shadow? It's a freaking shadow, man.
I mean, I
don't even know what that means, but I guess it's green.
I was just like, because you were like, well, it's like green, red, or something. And I was like, I don't know. She heals green.
Yeah.
Maybe a light shade of Hunter to Kelly green.
Yeah, because reds and greens and whites are typically associated with people who are more in tune with nature and the forest and all that sort of thing, whereas more metallic colors are typically people who are more in tune with civilization and stuff like that. And then corruption has its own thing as well.
Yeah.
Why does
we'll get some of
that. Well, I was thinking that Willow may have come across Ponder at some point during her journeys. So she might know him. She probably right now is maybe in Thistlehold, basically just looking for work. She may have come across Ponder. She may have even, am I saying it correct? Criven?
Yeah, Criven.
And may have even come across Criven at some point. Maybe not enough that, they're like, hey, we have a team. Our name is, whatever.
Right.
But yes, they're at least aware of each other. I've seen that person before.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
I've studied under, or tried to study under, at least studied adjacent to, all of the mystical factions. Yeah. Even though I'm not really a part of any of the factions. So it's, I mean, you could have been my teacher. We could have just had long discussions, traveled together. That would make perfect sense.
Because when I was looking at the character sheet, I mean, it just lists friends and companions. So it's not like a lot of games where they're like, what is your relationship? What do you, how are you tied together? So I'm a.
It's just this person. This is who they are. Kind of
exactly. Deal. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's better if we all sort of know each other.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the three best friends, but we'll.
But at least aware of each other's existence.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know.
I know of his work.
So. Yeah.
Yeah. So what sort of deeds would Criven have performed that we might have heard of?
I kind of picture Criven's very much at least even the Godinia at large, they kind of strike me from their description and as kind of sole operators. I think if they did work in smaller groups, they would be groups of 3 to 5, maybe max. So I think Criven especially is kind of is a bit of a free agent, and probably can move from place to place pretty easily because they can shapeshift. So yeah, I think maybe Thistlehold is the first place that Criven met the Godinia in my mind, and how eventually they fell in with them. So I think maybe Thistlehold is a place that Criven probably frequents, or at least comes back to with some regularity, knowing that it's fairly safe to find work and to operate out of. It's a good place to keep kind of a pulse of what's going on in the world and the setting.
Right. And you're young. How many years have you been operating professionally?
So probably would have fled training of knighthood at 16. So I've probably been on the run for about a year, and then training with and living with like off and on with the Godinia for 2 years now.
Yeah.
So
And remind me, the Godinia are some sort of martial group.
They're one of the barbarian tribes. They're
Gotcha.
basically like they're like the craftsmen. Like that's
Oh, okay.
basically like what they're known as, is they're like the craftsmen. And so a lot of the barbarian tribes, a lot of them wear like masks and that sort of thing, and a lot of those masks are from the Godinia.
Gotcha. So yeah, see, I noticed Godinia is pretty far north on the I keep wanting to call it the west coast of the forest, because it the way the map looks, it's like it looks like it's in an ocean of grass. But anyway, yeah, but it makes sense that since they do all the masks and stuff, they would probably be coming down to Thistlehold for trade and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I tagged along with you on a trip to Godinia or something like that, and we might know each other.
yeah.
From that could be my most recent. Did you come here? You didn't come here from Godinia, because you were down in wherever you were studying.
Yeah,
Prior Temple Wall.
Yundaros.
Yundaros. Yeah, Yundaros.
Yeah.
Yundaros. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So perhaps we traveled from Yundaros together.
Yeah,
and this will hold. I gave you a ride. Gave you a hiding place or something on the way out. Helped you sneak out for something.
Yeah, that could definitely well be. And Ponder could have been interested in is it theurgy?
Yeah.
Like knowledge of the clandestine and the temples and the faith surrounding Pelos, if Ponder is a knowledge-seeking sort.
Yeah, in fact,
which would also make sense, since he was training to be a Templar, so that would make sense.
And that's why I was there to get as much information, because I mean the main people, the big priests and stuff, I guess, whatever they aren't going to be like sharing trade secrets and stuff, but hopefully they're you can ask generalized questions. And so I was trying to pick up as much as I could. So we might have befriended each other that way, just in terms of chatting you up at lunch or something.
Yeah. I think Criven is selective, but also like really craves socializing and really enjoys like connecting with people, but like kind of has to tamper that down, or like because of that one instance was obviously like super stands out in their mind of like, well, I'm on the run for my life now. I think that they're much more cautious about who they tend to befriend.
Let's get you out of this city, boy.
So Criven is actively being hunted?
Or
not that he knows of, that they know of.
I don't know. I'm probably I've been gone for a few years. So I think if it, and Aloysius, I'll lean on you for the answer, but my gut feeling says like, if you come here again, we'll kill you. But it's not like there's a manhunt out for me, I don't think.
I could agree with that, yeah, because like, especially since you're a changeling who's fairly adept at their shape-shifting abilities, it'd be like, okay, well, how the fuck are we supposed to hunt this guy down? Because he can look like anybody. So, yeah.
And they don't tend to just go out hunting down changelings. It's just
no.
They don't like them.
I would have figured that would have been really hard to do if find this guy who could look like anybody, but if you happen to find him, bring him back. So
it could
don't
be
kill
you.
him.
It could be me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what I figured. But I just wanted to ask.
Great. So it sounds like we could have known each other for a couple of years. In the case of Criven, and then a decade or so in the case of or longer for Willow, depending on. Well, you're still young too, right?
Well, Willow's 19, so
19,
yeah,
right? So
yeah, she's probably been out, probably since about 14 or 15.
Right.
So she's just started to become like a professional guide.
Gotcha. So probably didn't study under you, but maybe next to you.
Yeah. Yeah. She's all about just finding stuff in the wilderness. rare herbs and things like that. And I feel like that's why she gets kind of tapped for this mission or quest. But is all about like almost like a professional tour guide in a way, / mercenary healer. That
tour
people
guide
hire.
/ mercenary healer.
Yeah.
You lead the tours into danger.
Yeah.
And when everyone gets hurt, you feign ignorance.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, I told you not to eat that, or I told you, I said don't, leaves of 3, but but
Take a
if they
week.
don't listen, they
Yeah.
so that's kind of her thing. So she's sort of a professional, I guess.
And if you look to your left,
Exactly.
Pull the string. There's a hippopotamus.
yeah.
And if you piss her off, oh well, yeah, you can go ahead and eat that. It should be fine. So
Like I'm like 95% sure it's not poisonous. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Sign this waiver first.
Will that be cash or card? So
Yeah. No, I don't take check.
Not safe. Cool. Yeah.
So
All right,
then
good.
how might Willow and Criven know each other?
I would say I think well, if I may interject, I would say I think hypothetically, because all of the barbarian clans do have sort of because each barbarian clan has its own chieftain, but then there's a high chieftain in what's sort of the barbarian like hub, I guess, where all of them convene, called Karvasti. And it's it's like very holy ground for them. So I think Willow definitely would have been there many times throughout her life, especially since she is a witch, and so very sacred place. And because that's also where like the the lead witch is. I'm blanking on her exact title at this moment in time.
I remember seeing it. Yeah.
Huldra?
Yes, the Huldra. That's where the Huldra is.
Okay.
And so hypothetically, could have met there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would make sense. And we're the same age, so it would totally make sense to just meet up and like kind of spark a kinship of some kind, or just like, hey.
But what is their real face though?
Right.
So you may be like, oh, we met before. I'm like, I don't recognize you, but we'll see.
I would say also the thing with it, at least like this is like rumors among like outsiders, so Willow would probably be privy to this. Ponder, maybe not, but at least like among other barbarian clans, it's like heavily rumored that the Godinia, up until semi-recently, had like pretty close ties with the elves in like deep Davokar. And that there's even rumors that the Godinia's clan chieftain has elf blood running through his veins.
Damn god ninjas.
Yeah.
Yeah, god ninjas.
Yeah. That was one of the other main motivations of like, this group feels like a good fit for this character.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think they would definitely be some of the most accepting choices for taking in a changeling.
Okay.
I think that the Criven and Ponder, or Criven, I guess at least, has a secret hands sign that he can make so that he can let me know if it's you when you have a different face on.
Oh,
yeah,
makes sense.
Possibly. And any other time where it's ambiguous or not quite sure. When Criven's wearing a mask, the masks, I get the feeling that the masks are all are they all uniform, or are they individualized?
I'd say they're individualized.
Yeah. So
to at least some extent, I'd say they're individualized.
Yeah. Like I think there's some general like similarities in like this is the general construction or the general shape, but then there's like individualized like paintings or markings or what have you. So
Yeah.
Criven's got a wooden mask fringed with kind of whitish fur that's painted red, that looks like a stylized fox, with like blue paint. And so if not for the hand signal, like whenever Criven's wearing that mask, it's like, oh, that's Criven.
Okay. Good choice of hand signal.
Yeah.
We have been
Live
talking
long
about playing
prosper.
another game.
Oh, you do that subconsciously, the hand signal.
The hand signal.
Nerd fighters.
Yes.
Be a good name for the team, Nerd Fighters.
Nerd fighters.
I don't know, maybe trademarked. I have to ask the greens. Cool.
All right. Anybody have any other questions?
Were you intended to use any of the optional rules? I'm sure there are optional rules in the GM section. Or are we just going to go with the vanilla?
At the moment, I say we'll go vanilla. When I like, and if I like decide otherwise after sort of like really diving into them, then I will like bring it to the table, ask how people feel about it, and then go from there.
Sounds good.
I won't know the difference. So, I mean, I've read the book, but not, memorized it or anything like that. So, especially this. I mean, I know it's not about the spells I have, but other than that, I really haven't read through all of it yet. So, yeah.
Should we go over like what our abilities and powers are, or do you guys prefer to find that out as we play?
We can do that if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever y'all want to do. I'm good with whatever.
Well, as a scholar, I went with Lore Master and Beast Lore, and took the option to do 5 abilities instead of 3. So they're all at novice level. I also have Witch Sight, so I can see shadows, which is why it was important to me to make sure I tried to make at least an interesting shadow. And I have the mystical power of True Form, so that I can see through illusions and that sort of thing. So while I'm not of any of the different not categories, groups of magic people, traditions, I don't follow any of the traditions specifically, so I'm I guess I'm a wilder or whatever they call it in here. So that's the only self-trained. Yeah. So that's why I study all the other stuff. So I picked this up somewhere along the way, but that's the only mystical power that I have. So, and then I also have Iron Fist, so that I can use strong instead of accurate when I have to fight. I didn't want to have to like spread points around in places other than my intellect. So.
Understandable.
Yeah. But that's where he leans in terms of abilities and powers. I guess he's long-lived because ogre, and he's a pariah because ogre. So, which I think the changelings also have to deal with pariah.
No, because
goblins. I think
so. It's just the goblins.
Yeah,
and the ogres.
Yep, ogres and goblins.
Yeah.
I think we'd have to if we couldn't shapeshift, but perhaps because
that's true. Yeah.
The impression I got is like if you are perceived as a changeling, or like you kind of show that you are, then like that can be its own version of trouble.
I among Ambrian society, absolutely yes. As far as like barbarians go, I'd say they're more accepting of that. Depends on which clan, obviously, but they are like no strangers to the elves, and it's like, well, guess this is my baby now. So because I lost the other one and they gave me this one, so I guess this is the one I have.
It must have been defective.
This isn't what I ordered.
the Elven Warranty Division.
Somebody called the stork. All right, I can go next.
All right, by all means.
Her mystical power is lay on hands. So it's basically the main healing. She's a ritualist. She can create a witch circle, which I have to remember what that does. I think that does something with like I want to say temporary housing or something like that. It's like
That sounds about right. Let me see if I can find that real
it's like
quick.
some kind of protective like bubble or something like that.
Is it a tiny hut?
It is. It's something like that I remembered. It was
Witch
something like that.
circle. Witch
The cooler.
circle. Let's see. Witch circles are protected from prying eyes and influences from outside, and the mystic has more or less complete control over what happens within the circle.
Yeah.
The mystic decides how things grow and which season it is within, and can, with the quick growth ritual, create an environment to mirror its heart's delight.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was something. It was like kind of a.
Yeah.
I kind of thought of it as like that tiny hut, like you were like kind of a.
Yeah,
sort
it is hard to find a witch circle, even if you know where to look for it. Requires a a discreet against vigilant test to even see the circle if encountered in the wilderness. Creatures that do not see the circle will simply walk around it without knowing they have taken a short detour.
Yeah. Wow. So kind of like our own private clubhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, a mystic. If I remember correctly, she also has alchemy. Yes.
Yes, she does. Yeah.
Yep. So a mystic with both the witch circle ritual and the alchemy ability can make an extra attempt at alchemy tests when using the ability inside its circle. A mystic with quick growth, witch circle, and alchemy can make 2 extra attempts when using alchemy.
Yeah.
Synergy.
Yep. And she has obviously witchcraft, bushcraft, which is you can find enough food and water to feed himself while being on the move in the ruins or the wilderness. Capable for a small group as well, but takes more time. And she was this ability, natural warrior, which I think comes from the barbarian side. So she's a little bit better with weapons than maybe normally a witch would be. So definitely not a frontline fighter, but she's able to if we're surrounded, she can jump in and help if she needs to. So
can help in a pinch.
Exactly. So I just picture swirling the staff around like Gandalf. So
right. And just surprisingly amount extra damage.
Yep. And she does carry some knives on her, mostly for cutting herbs. But if she has to cut a bitch too, she will. So
cutting herbs and bitches, what
and
all knives
bitches.
are made for.
Yep. Alrighty.
Cool. So for Kriven, I'm delighted that we all went a little off the beaten track of the pure, quote unquote, pure archetype for our characters. So I feel like the Templar is kind of analogous to like a paladin, and it's like armor, sword and board, like that sort of a thing, like very knightly. And since Kriven was still like technically like a squire, when they developed into a changeling, has a lot of hit and run sort of tendencies, is very quick as opposed to strong. So I liked, there's a description for shapeshifter, and I did go with the adept for that one, and then 2 novice abilities, because I just really liked the description where it says like you're adept enough at a shape shifting that if you are in a fight and there's more than one opponent, like you could potentially confuse your opponents into attacking their ally because you're good at causing confusion. So I kind of leaned into kind of being able to dart in and out and cause a lot of chaos and confusion. Hence the fox. So I picked acrobatics as one of my novice abilities, so I can have an easier time dipping in and out of combat and less likely to take attack of opportunities, basically. And then I also took twin attack. Since Kriven would have been training to be a knight, they would have had a lot of military training, of course. And again, I delved deep into like the history and the lore and how it related to our own history. And I settled on having a rondelle, which is a specific type of dagger that would have been carried by knights and basically like a coup de grace, sort of like a noble finisher, but a good piercing weapon. Also good at piercing through like links and chainmail. And then I also picked falx, and that's got its roots like in Dacian culture, basically like a curved blade, but instead of like a falchion which curves, like the part that curves away is the sharp edge, it's the inner part of falx that is bladed, so it's almost like a scythe or a cutting weapon, but it has a handle of a sword. So historically, the Dacians were able to give the Romans enough time of a hard time with this particular weapon because it could hit around Roman shields. And like the point could pierce through their helmets, or it could rip into their shield and they could tear the shields away from them. So I kind of like the idea of like maybe the rondelle, the dagger was the only thing I could make off with when I had to flee. And then by trading with the Godinia, then I would have picked up and learned and adapted to maybe like one of their more signature weapons, or a weapon that's more unique to a barbarian clan. So yeah, that's my character. Oh, and I've got a fairly high resolute for a fighter because I figured if I was on the path to becoming a Templar, I probably wouldn't have learned spells just yet, but I would have been on the path to start to train my mind to be able to resist spellcasters and be better at that. So
yeah, makes sense to me.
So very much got my vigilant and my strong and my health are not high, but you know, gonna lead into my other strengths.
Right.
I'm well, hypothetically, you shouldn't be getting hit much anyway. So
yeah, that's
right.
Instead of being able to take a hit, I'd rather just not get hit at all.
Exactly.
I had a question about alchemy. Is there like a list of like level 1 or novice, potions or whatever I can make?
There is indeed.
Okay.
I can tell you that momentarily.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that, so I wasn't sure if that's under like mystical powers, maybe.
It should be under the alchemist ability, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Let's see.
Novice elixirs: weak antidote, herbal cure, weak poison, and whey bread.
Okay,
whey
cool.
Bread.
Yeah, I'm a baker.
Gibbs.
Okay. Yeah, because what I'm thinking is she probably would want to make some kind of poison as well, just as kind of a backup. She might be kind of looking into that as well. So, all right. And
go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, and that's probably something I can kind of look up in the meantime, to kind of have that idea ready that, okay, well, she's in, this will hold. Maybe she's looking for, components for, a poison or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
And apropos to our discussion earlier of getting all the different systems we've been trying mixed up, is this the one where before we go on the adventure, you get to make an alchemy check to see if you can make a potion? Or am I mixing that up with a different system?
I think technically you can make an alchemy check pretty much whenever. I don't think there's specific times, but I could be incorrect on that, but I'm pretty sure you can just do it whenever you're trying to do it. Obviously, like with Willow's witch circle, like if she's like trying to make a poison and she like fumbles it, she's like, let me just try again. Then the witch circle will let her do that. But like normally it's a one and done, like most checks in any game.
Okay. All right.
Cool. I had a question about shapeshifting.
Yes.
So I couldn't quite figure out to what extent the shapeshifting for a changeling specifically allowed. It's a little bit different from the spell that allows like kind of the polymorph spell.
Mhm.
I took it as I guess first of all, is it a physical change or is it an illusionary change?
As far as I'm aware, it's a physical change.
That's what I took too. And it
Like,
says
like it,
within-
it like it does like when you read it, it does describe it as an illusory form, but I just it took that to meaning that it's like not your real shape. But I interpreted it as it being an actual physical change.
And there are definitely illusions and transformations in the game, because I noticed that true form, specifies that you can see, when you use this, it doesn't like remove the illusion, you just see through it, and it doesn't
Yeah.
transform the person back. You just know what their true form is.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So
yeah. So would that I think that would apply to a shapeshifter.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah. And
Like
I
it,
kind of like that too.
like it would be a roll to see if they could see through your disguise. But yes, I would say that would apply to that particular instance.
Gotcha. And is it like one of those things where like if somebody like if I like have a physical difference, like if I'm a heavy set individual and like somebody goes in for a hug or an embrace and they're like, wait, the mass, what I'm feeling is different than what I'm perceiving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's sort of just like every time you transform, if people are like interacting with you or like actively being like, what's up with this person kind of deal, then you have to make a test to more or less just like show like how convincing your shape-shifting is, and which will determine as to like whether or not they can see through the disguise or just be like, something's not adding up quite right here.
Right. And being able, I can imitate voices, but just because I can turn into a shape does not necessarily mean I would have heard how that person speaks. So I can come up with like, hello, it is me, your old friend. And they're just like,
Yeah,
my
exactly.
friend's not French.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could like have seen like a poster of somebody and then like turn into them, but if you like haven't heard them speak before, then you have no idea what they sound like.
Fun.
So
Gaston.
Yeah. And then how extensive is it? Like, could I shift into like a goblin or an ogre? Is that pushing it? It wasn't super clear.
Says may adopt a false shape, the form, appearance, voice, and clothes of another creature, but not that of a. Okay, well, that's for the first one. So short period may adopt a form of specific individuals that the character has met, and can. Yeah, as far as I can tell, yeah, you'd be able to like change into a goblin or something like that.
Cool.
So yeah, I don't see anything that tells me that you shouldn't be able to do that. So I'd say
Any
yes,
creature.
you can turn into a goblin.
Yeah, and any creature, would that be an animal as well? I don't know. My mind kind of is overwhelmed at the thought of being able to do that.
Draco Lich. Let's just start off Draco Lich.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, and do abominations count as creatures?
Yeah, we encounter an abomination in the woods. I just turn into one and I roll right back. Problem solved.
It's gonna be a fun bunch for you, Ulysses.
Oh yes. Oh good. Asking the important questions. Asking the important questions here.
How broken can I make? How do I break this?
I'm not. As far as oh, okay. It doesn't specifically say this, but I'm interpreting it as like you can only transform into like culture beings, as the game calls it, which are like humanoid creatures.
Yeah, I think the word individuals, you can transform into individuals, indicates that like it's a creature that is similar enough to you and like your physicality. I don't think I could grow extra limbs or anything, and I don't even know if I necessarily want to for this character.
I just really want to turn into a spider right now.
Yeah. And that would, from a gameplay point of view, that also would really water down or kind of be unfair to those who wanted to take the polymorph ability or the shape change ability. So
yes. So as far as I'm concerned and how I interpret it, you can only turn into like culture beings / humanoid creatures.
Cool. I'll take it. I'm super happy with that. All right. That was my questions on shapeshifting.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody got anything else for me?
I don't think so.
So at the next level, I can become like a giant tree, right? And do I have to have roots, or can I? No,
can I be a walking tree?
Exactly. No, I think I'm good. I think what I need to do, because I'm reading up more on the alchemy, and it says can be performed at the start of an adventure or at any appropriate moment during the adventure. So I'm not gonna try to kill you with,
every 5 feet you try and make a poison.
The way I'm reading it, though, is it sounds like it's a roll for every elixir I want to try to make. It didn't sound like there was a limit. So, okay. Because, I mean, what I'm thinking is she probably would be trying to create maybe like an herbal cure for like each member. So everybody at least has like essentially a health elixir with them. So, okay. That'd be, and then poison is later, but I just want to at least, get everybody at least has one. And now would we be able to, we're going to do like some shopping, I would imagine, like before we head out, or?
If you so wish. There are plenty of places to do that in Thistlehold.
Okay. Yeah. I saw that in the book. I mean, it was a lot there. So, and I think we all have some starting money.
5 thaler.
Yeah.
Unless you're a pariah, in which case it's 5 shillings.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Okay. All right.
But you do get to like stat out your equipment that you would have because backstory.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she has, I think a quarterstaff and a dagger. So, I mean, that's pretty much. And then I'm just assuming she has like a belt that once she finds some herbs, she starts putting them away. But I'm not assuming
putting them in the pouch.
Yeah, I'm not assuming she starts with anything because I don't have it on the character sheet. So, but, okay, I think that's all I had.
All right, then. If nobody has anything else, then I think that wraps for a good session 0.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you.
Woohoo.
And you got everything you need from us? You got all the character sheets?
Yep. If I need anything else, then I will reach out / let you guys know.
Okay.
But as of right now, I have everything I need from you guys.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Cool.
So that would mean our next episode our first episode is next Wednesday at 8 p.m. here. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Please be sure to give this video a like so we can bring in more people who like Symbaroum and who like our channel. And we will see you all again next week then. Good night.
Good night, everyone.